What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dabrunski here, and I finally had an opportunity to test some of the Terror Zones. Today's video I'm going to cover 7 key areas where I think the meta has completely been flipped on its head for viable magic finding / experience farming areas just because of the new changes with Terror Zones. And I'm going to cover 3 criteria or reasons that I've kind of used to determine what I kind of decide is an S tier zone, and then I'm going to explain for each individual area why I think it's a very good new introduced magic finding area. So again, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. I will follow this video with a complete tier list covering every single area, so S, A, B, all the way down, but there's just so many areas to cover that I thought it'd be interesting to cover, again, new specific areas. So I'm not going to cover River of Flame, Chaos Sanctuary, Worldstone Keep, or Bale Runs, because those are already existing areas that are usually targeted for magic finding or experience in original LOD. So again, focusing on new areas for Terror Zones. I'm going to cover why I think they're very good. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoy the video. Again, quick reminder, if you do enjoy this YouTube content, I do stream twice a week on Twitch. We've actually been testing all these Terror Zones, so if you would like to partake in some of that, you can always hit me up with a follow on that channel. I got the link for my Twitch channel in the description below. That being said, guys, let's jump in. So there's 3 key criteria that I use to determine whether or not a new introduced Terror Zone is an S tier compared to like a B tier, for example. The first one is monster density. If you compare the difference between Lower Kurast, for example, to the Flare Jungle, you'll notice a massive disparity in monster density. So some areas have tons of monsters, others don't. And I think that the more monsters you can kill to generate more loot, the better. So that was definitely a key factor. The second one is how relatively easy are the monsters to kill, because that is very important in my opinion. Like, it's one of the reasons why like the pits is a super popular area in LOD to magic find. It's a level 85 area. The monsters are relatively easier to kill than, say, the Worldstone Keep, and they can drop the same loot. So you'll notice that some of these S tier targeted areas, a lot of them are in like Act 1 and Act 2 because the monsters are easier to kill than later on in the game. So I think that is definitely just a key critical factor in my opinion. The third one is how much time do you spend teleporting to that area or between monster packs. So for instance, if you look at the Halls of Dead 2 and 3, it's an instant waypoint right there. Lots of monsters, good density. Versus, say, the Cold Plains, there is a waypoint right in Cold Plains, but you'll notice that you'll kind of be teleporting large distances between different monster packs. So that was another kind of key factor, and I sort of weighed everything together to compile this list of 7 areas, and 2 of them I've actually kind of taken 2 zones, put them together. So maybe technically the video is 9, but I thought 7 was a better number. But that was kind of my criteria for rating specific zones over others. So the first location on my list is Tristram. This is a fantastic spot to magic find. You just start in the Stony Field, teleport or run along the path till you find the red portal. You'll find that a lot of champions and boss packs spawn in this location, and then you can farm Wurt's Leg and gather it numerous times over that 1 hour duration that's terrorized. And why is that so important, grabbing Wurt's Leg? Well, it kind of jumps into the second location, which is cows. Tons of monster density with higher experience values. People are going to crush cows, so they kind of work together, and that's why I wanted to include both of them as separate areas. Tristram is good, it's easy to find, a lot of density in terms of champions, but getting that Wurt's Leg and prepping yourself for an hour of just crushing cows is key. So those 2 locations right off the bat are absolutely amazing. The next 2 locations, the first one here for Act 2, you might find a little bit questionable, but it's the Halls of Dead level 2 and level 3. So you can just take the waypoint right from town, and you'll find that the narrow corridors, there's some pretty solid monster density, easy to kill monsters, and you have sparkly chest at the end of level 3. So that's kind of why I wanted to include it. Again, it's very easy to find, easy to kill monsters, and a lot of density. So you're not teleporting or traversing long distances, just narrow corridors and lots of monsters, so I think it makes a great location. And then tying into that, I think is probably arguably could be number 1 on this list, or maybe number 2, and that is Talrash's Tombs. So again, easy to find. You start in the canyon, you know that all the locations are along the perimeter, and again, just tons of monster density, sparkly chests in each non-Duriel spawning tomb, and then kind of the cherry on the top is once you've done all the tombs, you can kill Duriel, and then you can just rinse and repeat. It's going to be a very sought after area in my opinion. Now moving on to Act 3, the next 2 locations, I'm going to kind of just put them together as one, but the Spider Forest and the Flare Jungle. Now hear me out, if you run through this area with like a Corpse Explosion Necro or a Javazon or anything that has a lot of area of effect damage, there is tons of flares and flare camps. The mass number of monsters that you can actually kill is literally amazing. It's almost like a second cows. You don't have to go through the process of getting Wurt's Leg. So I think this is going to be a key critical area. When I was playing around with my Corpse Explosion Necro on PTR, like I'm just obliterating packs, casting amp damage, getting a quick kill, corpse exploding. Like a pack of like 15 or 20 flares and then moving on. It is a fantastic area. Now the next two locations are in Act 5. I didn't include Act 4 in this video only because like River of Flame and Chaos Sanctuary is already a meta farming location, and Plains of Despair has always been sort of a niche but viable area as well, so I wanted to jump right to Act 5. So the next two, which I'm going to combine together as one, is the Crystalline Passage / Frozen River, but not including Icy Cellar and Glacial Cavern. And then also I want to throw in the Ancient Sway on top of that. So the reason why I'm not specifically including the Icy Cellar and Glacial Cavern is because there is some nasty monsters that spawn there. Dolls, souls, the Frenzy Minotaurs, just a lot of nasty stuff that wants to kill you. But every other area that I listed is relatively narrow corridors, easy pushover monsters for the most part, and they're all cold immune, but they don't have fire immunities. So this is going to be like a key location for a fire sorceress or a fire druid to just rip through. Again, like relatively easy to kill monsters. That's the reason why I just really don't like the Icy Cellar and Glacial Cavern, is like the combination of dolls, Frenzy Towers, souls is horrible. But these other locations are really solid, and they're kind of catered towards fire damage dealing characters. And again, relatively narrow corridors, not a lot of crazy teleporting, good monster density, so they'll make for sort of a new meta shifting location. And then the final one is the entire Nylothak Temple, including like the Halls of Pain and actually Nylothak himself. A lot of monsters to kill in here, good density, and you get the Nylothak kill on top of it, so it's kind of like the cherry on top for destruction keys. Now the one big sort of caveat to this location is that there is some magic immune monsters, which is kind of a little bit of a downside for the Hammerden, but the H-Shin can pretty much steamroll through almost anything, so I don't really feel too bad with the fact that there is the occasional magic immune. But H-Shins are fine, like they deserve to not be able to farm almost every area, so I'm okay with that. But yeah guys, that pretty much wraps up kind of what I think are going to be like the new meta shifting S tier locations. Again, I do want to follow this video up with a complete entire tier list, so everything from S all the way down to D, covering multiple locations. And I do plan on also following up this video with a community feedback / my input on Terror Zones, because during some of my streams had some really quality like back and forth with chat with some really good additional ideas, like having, for instance, every hour 2 Terror Zones spawn in different acts. So say if you're a fire damage dealing character and a fire immune area pops up, you might have a second alternative option. So you can kind of go down that road of just a little bit more viability in terms of like different character builds and where you can magic find. But again, that'll be its entire like video on its own. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit of a rambling talking head video. If you did like it, if you could throw a like on it, a comment, anything to boost the algorithm, I'd appreciate that. Other than that guys, I'll catch you on my next video or live stream. Peace out.